Keller Williams Lakeside is proud to have Ralph Skip Maccarone, local attorney in Macomb County, who's served on many different committees and has represented many people, and he's our company attorney. This morning we had a team meeting, and Skip covered a lot of ground. I wish you were there. And for those of you that weren't, we're going to talk for about 5 minutes about the things you need to know that are happening. Skip, what would you like to tell our agents this morning?
Well, Doug, you know, there's an awful lot going on in the world today, and with technology being what it is, agents have to be even more careful than they were years past. One of the things we're realizing is that with word processing capabilities, even Adobe PDF forms can be changed. And we're finding that in some instances, changes are made in the body of the agreements, and agents are looking just at additional conditions. They're checking the boxes, they're filled in correctly, and then they go to additional conditions and rely on that. I can't overstress the fact that so many different versions are coming out now that every word in every agreement has to be read before it's presented to your client.
Exactly. It's the, Skip, you and I, we talk probably once or twice a week, and most of the time these things could have been prevented had people checked with us if there's something in question. But most importantly, what you said was read every word. Make sure you understand exactly what's being presented to you and that it hasn't been modified in any way. Every company out there right now has a variety of forms and different mixtures of the wording that make a significant difference to your buyer or seller. Skip, there was another point we were talking about with some of the cities and had to do with vacant homes.
Vacant homes have always been a problem in real estate sales because sellers' disclosure statements are principled upon the fact that people have lived there and are honestly and fairly giving your disclosure. Right. In many instances, people don't realize that they may be misdisclosing or not disclosing. And one of the issues that has come up is that, if, for example, in Chesterfield Township, they have a requirement that if a home is vacant over a period of, I believe, 30 days, they're going to send a team of inspectors in to get certificate of occupancy compliance.
Wow.
And the unfortunate part of that is that in some instances, basement may be finished, requires inspection, and then of course if it's an older basement below grade with no walkout, you have to go in and retrofit so that there's an alternate escape and ingress and egress, and that's a $2,000 or $3,000 item.
You mean one of those windows that comes down with the ladder and you have to open up at least $3,000 or $4,000?
Yeah, and one of the experiences that Keller Williams Market Center Lakeside Market Center has realized is that this one was in a condominium where the internal components, of course, were the homeowners, so Right. They disclosed us to that, but the city came in and said, listen, you've got to put an alternate egress. Well, that affects the association's rights to the exterior part. And then, of course,
Wow.
Speaking to builders, one of the issues you have to recollect and warn against if you're representing a buyer or a seller is the fact that almost 100% of these alternate egresses below grade will cause water in the basement. They are not submarines. They're not watertight.
They have to be installed with the proper drain system to try and prevent it as much as you can.
It's a big issue, but these inspections, the thing for a realtor really is to make sure your head's up about the requirements of that local community and don't box your client in with some limitation of who pays what for how much, and always leave that disclosure aspect
Right.
as something that your buyer can walk away from if they need to.
That due diligence. And Skip, the number of times where agents come to us, and you've had the call too, where had the buyer or if their agent had gone over to the city, pulled the records, looked to see what permits, looked to the history, was there ever a fire in the house? Take the time to do your due diligence and review. Don't rely upon that seller's disclosure statement.
Yeah, the seller's disclosure statement really is an anomaly because most lay people don't know a lot of the really correct answers to give, and an agent has to be careful that they're not giving too much guidance because then they're answering it and they accrue tremendous liability because they really don't know. The other thing is not only looking to see if a permit was pulled, but to see if it was finaled out.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We had one house where a dormer was put up in Romeo and permits were pulled on everything. Nothing was done to code, no finals were done, and the seller had to tear it all down and rebuild it.
Wow. Well, that's been your KWL Legal Update mini version. For the full version, come to the next meeting. Once a month, we're going to be doing a little video, but at the meeting, you'll get all the info. Stay legal.